Now, you may say, well, that's very nice because that was a very specific promise. If God appeared to me in a dream and told me about some sort of specific thing, I would make it here, well, I would feel very encouraged. But I don't get those kind of promises. You're right. You don't get those kind of promises. But you know what? We have better promises. We have better promises. Just think of the promises in the book of Acts. Acts 2:21. It shall come to pass that everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. There's a promise. If you call on the name of the Lord, you'll be saved. Doesn't matter how bad you are, how far you've been, what country you come from, how many sins you've committed. If you call on the name of the Lord, you'll be saved. Acts 2:36. Let all the house of Israel therefore know for certain that God has made him both Lord and Christ, this Jesus whom you crucified. There's a promise. This Jesus whom you crucified, God now has exalted in the highest place, given him the seat of honor and the name above all names, and he is Lord and he is Christ. You can count on it. Acts 10. And he commanded us to preach to the people and to testify that he is the one appointed by God to judge the living and the dead. To him all the prophets bear witness that everyone who believes in him receives forgiveness of sins through his name. If you believe, you'll be forgiven. Acts 16:31, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved, you and your household. There's a promise for you, your household. Acts 17:31, he has fixed a day on which he will judge the world in righteousness by a man whom he has appointed, and of this he has given assurance to all by raising him from the dead. There's a promise that he's coming back and he will judge the living and the dead. Acts 24:14, Paul says he believes everything laid down by the law and written in the prophets. Everything in this book, Paul said, I believe every promise, every threat, every command, I believe it's true. Don't think somehow you're going to be more spiritual, more intelligent, more with it, more relevant than the Apostle Paul, who said everything in the law and the prophets is true. I believe it. You can count on it. Acts 24:15, Paul says, having a hope in God, which these men themselves accept, there will be a resurrection of both the just and the unjust. There's a promise. There's a promise. There will be a resurrection, whether you're a Christian or a not Christian, just or unjust, righteous or unrighteous. Everyone will be raised and there will be a judgment. That's a promise. Do you believe these promises? Can you take God at his word? Do you get into the word in the morning looking for promises? God's got a promise for you. Read the Beatitudes in the Sermon on the Mount. It's promises. Blessed are those who mourn, for you shall be comforted. If you're mourning right now, you go to that and you say, God, you promised me that when I mourn, you're going to comfort me. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, they will be filled. There's a promise. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. How do you fight lust? How do you not go to that site on your computer? How do you not take a second look? Because you believe in the promise that the pure in heart will see God. And you say, God, you've promised that I will see you. And to see you is better than to see that. And so I believe your promise. I want to see you on the last day. I want to see you now. I want to know you. And you've promised that if I'm pure, I'll see you who are pure. We live a life based on the promises of God. The point of Acts 27 is not to say, look at how great Paul was and look at all the cool things God used to do. The point is to say, aha, we worship the same God, and his promises are just as sure.